indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. Everyone had a nice evening. Very nice. Soaking rain. First off, I'd like to get a approval for the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next, approve the minutes of April 21st, 2025 regular meeting.
That's wrong. Today's the 21st.
Oops.
Certainly,
That
yeah.
was the 14th.
Let's do
That's
that.
what's in your packet, sorry. So
Month is going by pretty quick.
Second.
with the change.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Approve employee claims filed with county auditor for $552.16.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
All right. Approve claims filed with the county auditor for $949,077.47.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
All right. Approve business permit for Roy and Adam Miller.
So he was in attendance last week. I do have to call him today. He can attend the phone.
It's been processing.
Can you get us?
Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry. No, you're good. The TV.
you're good.
That's done.
Let's see.
Eggs are good, right?
I like how sometimes it just goes up my ways and every time. Next time it takes forever.
There you
Oh, okay. We'll just get started. So, this is on 120th Street in Hazelton. I've notated the X's where the egg processing and distribution will take place. And then where it's notated for the chicken barn, that has been established since 2016.
That's the long building on the left.
That is correct, yes. Yep. So again, just the X is where he's looking to facilitate that. And I guess I didn't feel that it was necessary to do a public notice in the paper, just with minimal traffic running through there, and it's on a hard surface road. So minimal concerns, I guess, with gravel. A lot of people have concerns with the gravel or with semis running through there.
He's planning on distributing the eggs to the Amish stores up there.
I believe so, and then driving them around wherever he can distribute them. So minimal, very minimal traffic through there. So kind of ease the concern on that side of it. And he already has been in contact as far as permitting wise above us with the, Iowa Department of Agricultural, so that's been taken care of as well. So they have out of my hands, so just as far as the zoning side of things, I felt it was, very minimal traffic and something good for their community to have established.
Seems like a great addition to our community, so.
Well, and in the past, we've really tried to encourage the Amish community to reach out for these industries like that.
Sure.
To add to the economy and also to the tourism up in the.
Yeah, yeah.
Make the motion that we approve the business permit for Roy and Adam Miller.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, next items for discussion, place on file the following manure management plans. Pork chop bill number 3, Burbank Township. Section 20. Bear Creek Bacon LLC, Homer Township, section 22. DJS Farms, Westburg Township, section 15. Mosner Site, Madison Township, section 17. Francis Site, Byron Township, section 27.
I'll make the motion to set the manure management plans.
Second.
File.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Set public hearings for zoning requests.
Like there's 2 of them, Miller and Arnold.
Yes, I have dates set for May 5th for the both of them. Miller at 9:15 and Arnold at 9:25.
Motion to. The public hearings to be on May 5th, Miller at 9:15 and Arnold at 9:25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Well, we'll hit a schedule here. Let's hop down and discuss the zoning assistant request from another county.
I forgot that was on there, I'm sorry. So, I took a phone call, from another county that was potentially looking to do a 28E agreement within my department, for the zoning side of things and my zoning services that we have to offer. So I'm not 100% sure on how this works, if I have a say in the process or not. I want to be able to help out other counties as much as I can and be a team player. However, I feel like Buchanan is my priority right now. And I feel like I'm still playing catch up. Obviously, when I was alone for a few months on my own. So I don't feel like right now is the best time to do that 28E agreement. But again, I mean, I can offer, information to them, just processes, how we handle things and that kind of stuff. But as far as physically doing things for them, I just don't feel that I can be the best that I can at both jobs, but potentially if that were to be the case.
I would rather have you give 100% here and nothing. I mean, it's just, I think it's gonna be too much.
Well, especially in her first year of being the director, it's pretty tough.
What was the ask? Go ahead.
Well, it was Tama County and they're going through the wind turbine revisions. I think they wanted her expertise on that. I think we'd be very happy to share what we did with our ordinance with them. But I would hate to see us get embroiled in that again.
Sure.
Knowing how much time
It was a
your
very,
department had to put on.
right, very tedious process.
Do you have any estimates on when you'd be able to get caught up, or, I mean, I realize that's kind of a difficult question to ask.
I guess I'll, thinking out, I mean, I feel like maybe within the next year or so, I mean, that's pretty generous too.
Yeah.
I feel like we're definitely making a lot of headway now that I have Cody and they're helping me out. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe you give them the expectation of like 15 months or something, maybe get caught up then and then offer more,
Sure.
but I mean, it sounds like a great idea to be able to use your expertise and what you've seen with the wind orients here.
Sure.
Bob, you had a comment?
I just know that in visiting with Chad quite a bit, he felt overwhelmed many times. But again, you know, how much of that was the turbines, the things, but it's a big responsibility. And I think in some counties, I'm not sure, but there might be more assistance in that office than what we've got now. But we do have somebody to help Amber, but well, and maybe Chad would be somebody to visit with. To see if it's really possible, plus the first year. So that's just.
Yeah, I'm all for trying to help other counties out because we might need that some point down the road in another department too. But considering the circumstances, I would be not in favor.
Yeah, you need to get your feet up yourself and get comfortable.
Yes.
So whatever we can do to be that cheerleader for you,
Okay.
let us know.
So I make a motion that we decline the 2080 agreement
Second,
with Tama.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that forward.
So is the board gonna draft some type of letter that can be sent down to Tama County to let them know that you're declining this?
if she can respond to it, I don't. Do we need something for it? or-
I think formality, yes, you should, because ultimately it's not Amber's decision. It's your guys' decision because you're her boss, and I think it would look better coming from you guys at basically in this point in time.
Yep, I can do that.
All right, thank you, John.
Yes.
What is the band in the center of the roundabout? I am so,
Why don't you cover that one real quick?
Okay, certainly.
You can do it in 4 minutes.
I was contacted by a gentleman that wants to put a 7-piece brass band in the center of the roundabout for Ragbri.
Yeah,
C
C-57.
57 and B 62.
And it's 55 miles an hour leading up to the roundabout, which has reduced speed limits, obviously, in the roundabout, but.
Ragbri is going through there at the same time too. That's why they want to be there.
no,
Let's just
I'm just gonna say no.
let's just.
That's just a whole lot going on.
Really interesting for our law enforcement.
I mean, the only way I could see that protect them would be put 8 vehicles, 8 personnel out there, and that's too much. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah, I have no problems with that. But that's your guys' call and I was expecting that I thought he said he was gonna show up, but obviously he didn't.
Can't see support. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, the liability is a major concern.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
my feeling is.
And then she said, all right, well, he was thinking about putting it at Dave Mauer's place. And I talked to Dave this morning. Dave says, no, we've been contacted by a homemade ice cream company out of Pocahontas. And then Dave asked them about the trash and they said, well, we'd have it all bagged up. And Dave said, so I'm gonna have to take care of it. No, thanks.
Yeah, his lawn is always immaculate.
Yeah.
I can't see that one
So,
happening.
no, that's, Dave's told the other people know, so I suspect, I think they're probably waiting until they hear from today. And I don't know if I can just easily just say, board says no. Too much liability.
We have that in the motion, please. for the
I make a
minutes.
motion that we do not allow a band in the middle of a roundabout during Ragbri
Any other time.
or any other time, because this is just a bad idea. This is for quality purposes.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Thanks for bringing that forward anyway, Brian.
Yeah.
No problem. And rather than me saying no, this is probably a better spot.
Okay, I got 9:15.
All right. Need a motion to open the public hearing on the zoning amendment.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, you're now in public hearing.
So this is the third and final reading for the accessory building, wording change out of the 2020 zoning ordinance. which does state an accessory building, which is not part of the main building, shall not occupy more than 30% of the required rear yard and shall not exceed 18 feet in height. However, this regulation shall not be interpreted to prohibit the construction of a 440 square foot garage on a minimum rear yard. 2, an accessory building or structure which is not part of the main building shall not exceed 28 feet in height.
Any questions or comments from the audience? I did have one realtor contact me and said that he thought it would be terrific to have that because with selling acreages and stuff, people are looking for accessory buildings that they can store motor homes or whatever it is. And our current height restrictions are extremely restrictive. So this would be a good bonus.
Especially for combines.
Yeah. Yeah, the big farm equipment. Yeah. Any other comments? If not, I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, next we go
Now we
to,
need a motion to approve the third and final, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the third and final reading.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
I'll make a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you, Amber.
appreciate it. Next, we move on to discussing the motor grade approval.
Come on up here if that's all right.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah, as it was left, Murphy Tractor had a separate proposal. Mark Behrman with Cat was offered the opportunity 2 weeks ago to change his bid. About
That's not true.
half an hour after the meeting, Mark calls me up and says he's not changing his bid.
I don't blame him.
And
Frankly, I don't blame him. I don't like how it all
Is that
happened.
the same as what we had previously?
And after doing a little bit of research, I
Another-
think Cat's probably the better machine.
Correct, with an.
and I stayed out of that argument. I tried to get information from Fayette County because recently they went through letting that way too. And they said that even though the John Deere was more expensive there, they were going with 3 John Deeres at Fayette County because they found a better value, but I can't get in.
I'm not gonna go up for Fayette County either.
No, the big issue that was brought up before was that the John Deere's made here in Iowa and the Cat is made in Brazil.
Right, only part of the Cat's made in Brazil
No, the whole thing.
because of the way that it is.
The improved circle, they could have made the whole machine here in the States, but we were wanting the improved circle. And on the circle, that's made in Brazil. Well, bring the circle up and put it on when the Cat's made in, Arkansas,
I think we also-
Arkansas.
And I think that our operator is,
He would prefer the Cat.
he prefers a Cat, so let's just go with what the operator wants.
Okay, I've got one other little factor that came in here too, Don, but you guys make the call. And that is John Deere corporate. Since I was at NACE, I visited with corporate and I was visiting with their district, manager of federal and state accounts, government sales. So they decide, he says, oh, we'll throw an additional 1% off that machine. If you guys don't want to do that, that's your guys' choice, but that takes you down about 23.
I turn around, you visited with somebody else to get this machine lower. Why do you like John Deere so much? I'm just gonna.
Don, my apologies. I wasn't ready to say anyone was better than the next either. I was just trying to get the best buy I could. And so however you want to handle it, it's your guys' choice.
Okay, so what is the bottom line, the price off after all the front and back? What are we looking at for each of them?
So I'm not changing my price necessarily, but,
1%, I think was factored in.
yep. So if you flip to page 2 of what I gave you, bottom line is our price last time we left was a $390,000 net trade difference.
I also have another question. What happens if we just keep the machine around as a spare? What happens if we don't do the trade?
We've got several spares, but the other operators do not want to run the Cat because this Cat is purely joysticks. Now the technology is changing and the day will come, I say the other operators, particularly the older operators, did not want to run the joysticks. And they wanted to stay with the Antler X and steering wheel.
So where's the cat at in price?
Cat was at $393. And let me grab the price up here. And my apologies, Dawn, I didn't realize I was doing anything that was,
And there's only $3,000 difference. And typically, don't we usually allow the operator to give, if it's within $5,000 to.
that was the way we tried to run years ago. Yes, it certainly was.
The operator, we sent an email this morning, like he said, that he'd prefer the cat, so.
Yes. Part of it is he's familiar with the Cat. The two things I did, he thinks the Cat has the better visibility and more legroom. And so the joke is on this, of course, that, the legroom didn't seem to be an issue in either. Wait, that's a joke. Gotta laugh and enjoy life.
So may I finish where I was going with what
Sure.
you'd asked about pricing difference? So I'm giving you guys the option. You know, we met all the specs. We had an additional warranty that was not something that had been requested in there that was a value. We have different programs that we can use. Brian, being the social butterfly that he is, he did talk to somebody at John Deere this last week. Met with one of the guys, and that guy did reach out to me, and so I guess two things that you'll look at if you take a look at page 2 on our proposal on here. So we had left last time, our net trade difference was $390,000. Plus we were giving you guys, Buchanan County, 2 years of all filters, fluids, oil changes, basically every 500-hour maintenance that needed to be done on that machine to stay within warranty spec. We were giving you that as a credit at no charge in that 390. One of the things that came up in last week's or 2 weeks ago discussion was obviously there were a couple things, you know, I know Mark had said, well, I didn't have an opportunity to, you know,
Yeah, he didn't get to see your bid before he submitted his.
and actually that is. He did see the bid.
We shared both of them.
So anyway, going back to this, what we did is we said, okay, fine. If you guys do not, if all we're looking for initially is to keep as much in the budget and as we can for this time of year. If you do not want that 24-month, 2,000-hour maintenance, I'll take $12,000. You won't be getting that maintenance plan, but I'll take $12,000 off of the total difference. So now we're down to be $378. That's one part of it. The second part is when Brian talked to this governmental representative from John Deere, they had the conversation. Obviously, we've had a good standing relationship. We've met the equipment needs. I know you have a couple non-John Deere pieces, but for the most part, the fleet is John Deere. We take pride in maintaining it, being a good partner, and that's something we take very serious. So same thing with John Deere. You know, John Deere last year, I think, made for sure one visit out to follow up on the backhoe that Curtis had.
Yes, and
And
they
then-
had about 4 engineers.
Yeah.
We ran down where they're running with the motor grader. They got to visit with the operators too.
Yeah. So anyway, so they take all that very seriously as well. So Brian has a conversation. John Deere has a new feature that's out that's called Deere Path. And what that is the Iowa DOT is using it. Doesn't mean it's the right product for you guys. I think there's a lot of value to it. But again, if you're going to pay for a feature that you didn't spec for, let's let you guys ultimately make the decision. So anyway, this Deere Path is a feature where you can map your center lines, map your roads. So if it's whiteout conditions, which we've kind of forgotten what those look like, it's been a few years, mailboxes, bridges, etc. You can basically map that so you can, you know, while you're traveling down the road, if it's a whiteout condition, the operator can see where he's at all times in a monitor. It's an indicate system. Again, that's something that's great. It's another safety feature. It makes your operators safer. But like everything else, it all costs money, right? So what Scott said he would do is he would either essentially give a credit to put that Deere Path on or use it as a savings as well. So he's giving an additional discount for Murphy to offer to Buchanan County. So essentially you could either pick those features, those two things that I've highlighted here in yellow, or you could take $20,000 of additional savings and be at $370,000 net difference on this machine, or pick some features, one or the other, but
Okay, I'm gonna ask here.
Yeah.
Cause I'm curious. So do you have windshield wipers as requested in here on all the windows?
We
visibility?
do have windshield wipers. One thing that we do not have is we do not have a side, it'd be the right-hand side, defroster in the windows.
Brian, is that something CAT offers?
Cat puts, windshield wipers on the side and
And
I don't know about
They
defroster.
have the couple of the things that in my experience that I've come up against is guys like to have that visibility out of the right-hand side, and their cab ours is more of a square type cab. They have like a narrow pillar. So I've heard some operators, and a lot of it comes down, as you mentioned, what their preference is. I'm not here to, try and I value the relationship with Buchanan County, and sometimes you pick your battles and you say, all right, well, like they just got the wheeled excavator last year. We didn't have a product offering for the wheeled excavator. I could have put together a bid on something and argued how it met the spec and how it didn't, but in that case, the operator was passionate about having it and we didn't have a product offering. In this case, I've had some guys say, I will only drive John Deere, I will only drive Caterpillar. I mean, it really just kind of depends, right? Some people drive Case, some people use John Deere, some people are Ford, some people are Chevy. We meet with the exception of, the side defroster, the side mirror, everything that you guys have traditionally asked for is a met spec. I personally met, I can't speak for the CAT representative, but I know I went out and met with Brian while we looked at his trade machine, Quinn.
Mhm.
And, talked through some of the features with him. And I know he alluded to me, he said, well, I'm used to CAT. He said, it's what I've run since I've been out here. We went out, took a little field trip, took him over to, Blackhawk County secondary roads, because they had a machine similar to what he would be getting if you guys elected to buy the John Deere. Went through it and he said, and what people tell you to your face sometimes isn't always what you hear secondhand. Maybe he's not as comfortable with me, but he said, yeah, I think I could get used to it. He said, I think there's some things like anything would be a learning curve. So my job isn't to sell you on what your operator will or won't like. My job is to tell you that I know we have a quality machine. We'll stand behind it like we always do. And if I can put, whether you take $20,000 of value adds, or you put an additional $20,000 back into your secondary roads budget, I mean, that's what my presentation is this morning. So, like I said, I can't say that Brian will or won't be happy with the machine in 5 years. I get the impression he probably is a open-minded individual that would learn, as opposed to being, arms crossed and I'm not going to run this kind of thing. But like I said, he's not my employee. I just know that I'll bring my best bid forward and try and make it affordable, or I suppose keep the money again in your budget.
Well, I appreciate the operator giving his thought.
Absolutely.
And they are the guys that are gonna be operating it. We're not.
Right,
So,
and I think it's important to keep good morale with it.
yeah. And
I,
he sent a 3-page detailed email to us this morning, expressing some of his concerns, and I guess they had some problems with a prior Deere one where they had to repad the seat and everything because of back issue.
Way back, and this goes way back, they didn't have armrests on the machine. And so the big burly guys were the ones that were having back issues. And so we started putting armrests in them.
all right.
But these all have
Into this
armrests.
discussion Because I'm tired of it.
Okay,
I make a motion that we go with the CAT.
Second.
Favorites?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
okay,
All right, thank you very much.
23,000? That's,
Justin, appreciate
Well,
it.
20,000.
370 to 393.
We'd be at $390,000 net difference.
That's it, done with
Or
this.
excuse me, 370.
70, yeah, so it's 23,000 difference.
What's the structure for this?
Yeah, it is, it's another issue that's brought in. Okay,
Thank you.
trying
guys.
to order,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
This one takes me by surprise, because I thought 23,000 was significant, but your call. Don's, we were looking at replacing the trucks, because eventually we were running trucks that are 25 years old on main line yet, and trying to do one a year. And the lowest quote we have is from Don's Truck Sales, who actually worked for another company to get their trucks, because they're no longer truly an official authorized sales rep for Freightliner. And they came in at 118,616. And another Freightliner was Truck Center out of Elk Run Heights, and they're at 119,993. And the Max and everybody were significantly higher. Matter of fact, they were having a show special for Peterbilt lately. And they're selling theirs fully equipped, and it was 321,000.
So the other ones aren't fully equipped.
This is not fully equipped. By the time I get it fully equipped, I'll have about 215,736 into it. And if I did something wrong, please let me know in this other, because I didn't.
No.
I agree.
It sounded like you were looking for the best price and you're trying to find ways to save money, so I wouldn't worry about it.
So what's the,
Yeah, that's what I'm up here.
Here's kind of the numbers. Yeah, so the total on top is fully equipped. Yes,
I was like, a little bit lost. I'm like, truck, when we drive down the road or?
double truck. Yeah, and here's the kicker on them. We've been running a whole bunch of Sterlings out there. They stopped making them in 2010 and they're getting hard to get parts for. And I brought up an article a while back for another county is trying to buy them to put them in to salvage parts off of. We don't want to. I don't know if you remember that one or not, but I brought it up mentioned it to the board.
the nice thing about Don's, they give pretty good service too, so.
So fully equipped, this would be 215,736.
That's what it should be, yes.
Freightliner.
Yeah.
Which, this is the Cummins.
Of the engine.
Truck Center is, the other one.
Yep.
Are the engines compatible with them?
So Don's, the Freightliner, add totals up to 334, 352. Truck Center with that Cummins, has, I just pulled it out to be able to identify which vehicle is which. 335, 729, the Peterbilt 321, 037. So it looks like all, as you said, the installation of the rest of the equipment kind of puts the other two over and above the Peterbilt.
Well, the Peterbilt, that's 300 and some thousand. So if we add the others up, I'll have about 200 and some thousand into it. That's the notes on the top. All total, it'll be about 217, not the three. And that was ISAC's. That was a special for ISAC. That's where that flyer came from.
Oh, Don's?
No, on the Peterbilt. And we have one Peterbilt out there, but it was a 2010. And 2010, all the truck companies are having lots of problems. And ours has lots of problems.
So what's the price when we have fully furbished from Don's and the Truck Center?
Notes on the top at about 219,000.
For Don's?
Oh,
And yes, that's
fully furnished.
yeah.
So that's less expensive. And that's still a company. What engine does that one have in it?
That has the Cummins, as you were just reading.
Like a Cummins engine.
And it has an Allison automatic, and the Peterbilt, they're throwing I think they're throwing some kind of a shift in there, and it's not the Allison automatics are virtually bulletproof is the term they use for. We haven't taken one out in the 32 years I've been here, which is saying a lot.
So you're saying that Don's is probably gonna be the best deal? And it's gonna
I
be.
fully, Don's is, in my opinion, the best deal.
that's kind of goes a lot further than the $4,000 or $5,000 to give the operator the preference, so.
Yes.
So it's just like Don's opinion here.
Can I have, the bids and the truck style and who they're from all laid out? Because I've just had like 10 different numbers thrown at me and I have no idea what they're.
And the other thing is, it's a Buchanan County business too.
Yes,
So Don's truck
Well,
coming in at,
about $1,300 less than,
no, she needs a total for her
I need the
notes.
full amount.
yeah, they've got it all up there, so.
Oh, well, that's helpful.
Wasn't the way you wanted it, was it, Chris?
No, I'll figure it out. I usually do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys are saying 200 and some thousand. You just said 219 and this bid says,
215, so by the time I put the box on and everything through Don's, it'll be 215,000. And Mack Trucks, we did talk with them.
A la carte.
You're buying a chassis is what we're buying.
Imagine if these are 10 or 15 years old, the boxes are starting to get,
Rusty, and then we tend to take them off and, or take the trucks up south of Fairbank to Corkery's. They sandblast them and paint them. And that, I'm gonna have another 25,000 into it when I do the painting job that way. But that's what, part of what's allowing us to get so much life out of the trucks too. And yeah, we try to run them the most efficient we can. Now I can remember Don Shanka having concerns that we run our equipment too long. And again, I'm sure he's comparing to what REC does.
and who is this bid from?
That's not a bid. That was a flyer that was at, that's through Sourcewell too, but that was
I
a
see that,
flyer.
But then
Yeah.
Truck Country was mentioned. I'm just trying to put the pieces of
Truck
this.
Country, Truck Center is the other quote that's in that folder that you've got there too. So the last page.
So there,
one that used to be hers.
so this one was for 119, but then with everything added, what were you thinking?
Well, what happens, we buy the chassis and then we end
Total
up taking
amount's all I need
on the front page.
of the
250.
truck center. So both of them would, so now you're saying both of them are 215.
Well, no, if we went with Truck Center, you better add the $1,300 into that.
That was the dollar amount I was looking for.
Thank you. I didn't know.
Sounds like Don's is still cheaper, still a better. buy.
Don's was cheaper.
Any more questions? We'll take a motion.
Make the motion to make the purchase from Don's Truck Center. Excuse me, Don's, the Freightliner.
For approximately 215,736. Is that the right amount? On your little note here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, awesome. Any road damage over the weekend with all the water?
None I've heard of. And most of the times the rains I saw were beautiful rains.
Yeah.
Any pipes backing up or anything that you?
Haven't had any complaints. The only real complaint I've gotten is 168th Street. And I told the gentleman I'd try and swing up that way this morning or today.
250th Street, I've gotten a few complaints about that one, so.
Yeah, whether they get in there today or whether it's too muddy, I don't know.
That's too many. At least the 250th in my area.
And the concerns in both cases are the windrow, and the conversation went, they put the windrow on the side where all the houses are. Why didn't they put the windrow on the other side? Well, they'll move it back over.
It was out north of Jessup. Center Street. And I took what's the one that goes over to the bridge, the
Which,
gravel.
the which bridge, but I think of the hundred and
It's got
forty-fifth
a-
Street, if you turn there at the, schoolhouse, and I'm trying to think of the schoolhouse on the Rock Road on Denison. 145th Street sounds right. Comes to a T,
I wasn't that far, I was south of Littleton
South Littleton, okay.
from,
Oh, 190th Street, across the bridge.
Yeah.
The Wapsie Bridge, thank you.
and I was noticing along the shoulder on the right side, all the windrows were piled up about that high, and I thought we were trying to pull those back into the road.
They need to work them back and forth, but right now, if they were to leave them out on the center of the road, the sods have so much moisture in their big clumps. And I've seen some where they, especially after they ran the disc, they're trying to leave that out. And it was pretty rough driving.
Very good. Just curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else, Brian?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. I guess we'll open
Are you
it
gonna
up.
notify Caterpillar that, to,
Oh, I'll get hold of Mark Weirman, sure.
thank you.
Open up for public comment. Yeah.
I'm gonna address Brian. Wouldn't it make sense to have this information if you're purchasing for bids on the truck that you just did? Have this to them prior to the meeting?
I can, it depends on how much they want me to send to them, and
I mean, do
Yeah.
you guys want it? I mean,
Oh, yeah,
I-
definitely.
here's part of it too. I didn't know some of this till this morning. Because at the meeting I was at last week in visiting with the National Governmental Sales, they were gonna cut some additional off the price. And so that's all changing from a week ago. It would, Mark, I didn't know if Mark was bringing in prices or not. I thought about calling Mark this morning. I thought, all right, if he's bringing in different prices, he's bringing in different prices.
but even if they bring a different price, they have the specs on the vehicle, they have the specs on what.
I would gladly share that
I mean,
anytime.
Chris has this stuff. If the prices change, then it's like,
That's not fair to you supervisors.
Okay, my apologies on all this then, because it's, you tend to do the way things have been done in the past, and I'll gladly change.
Thank you. I'd like to have the information up front. When you start talking numbers, you start talking machines, and I'm,
Should be something in front of you three. Just for you guys. I mean, you guys are making this big decision.
Yep.
That's only fair that all three of you have the information in front of you.
And
Even on a pickup.
Yeah.
You know, that's,
truly, Tom Hunt put the specs together, sent it out to the dealers, then they turn prices, but there's no reason I can't grab what Tom Hunt put together. Then,
and it's okay, Brian, if you don't have everything. I think the supervisors would be okay with saying.
Yeah.
Can we table this till the next Monday? It's,
yeah, this was 2 weeks ago, we had things here, and then,
Well, complicate this, but on the other thing is, if we could maybe have a spreadsheet with what the requirements are for it. And
yes.
here's a column for Cat, here's a column for John Deere of what their
what they're offering.
specifications are of that requirement. And it would be able to look at it on a piece of paper, compare them.
yeah. Well, and we started out saying American made, and then, Cat actually said, hey, yeah, we're making a machine in, Arkansas, but that doesn't have the improved circle. And so I said, my question to him is, why can't you make the improved circle, send it up here and put it on one of your Arkansas made machines? And the response was, we don't do that.
I know, there's a lot of pressure on Buy American right now, and with tariff acts flying around, you don't know what's gonna happen there. And so I understand that Buy American was the safe way to go.
Well, I even remember a comment from Don 2 weeks ago about wanting to buy American. Yeah, that's why,
We kind of looked at the whole situation and it seemed like one person didn't really get to see maybe what the other person had at the meeting.
he did.
Not at the same time, not within time enough to respond. And looking at what the operator's preference is, I think that there's a lot there because that operator's in that machine. And good morale with our employees is hard to find. I want to keep the morale where it needs to be.
Don, I don't disagree with you there. And-
Well,
Again, we need both of them. We need both companies.
Right.
oh, yeah.
To submit these bids, it's competition, we need that competition.
Agreement with you there.
Need to follow through, so we have
Yeah.
both of them here.
There are counties that do buy just one brand, period.
That's not good for business bottom lines.
Anything else?
I just wanted to say that in my prior business, we always had board packets out a week in advance. And one of the board members would meet with me ahead of time with some of the questions that were asked today that you unfortunately didn't know. So again, I agree with what was said before is sometimes you need that information, whatever it is, needs to be ahead of time so that way people can try to decipher it, try to understand. It's better to come to the meeting having somewhat of a full understanding than you kind of drop the ball on the day. Is that fair to say? Kind of, I mean, I know what you're doing, but things need to be done as much ahead of time to prepare these people so they can make the best informed decision.
Yeah, and I'm following up the way things were done in the past because if there's an interest in the specs, we'll get the specs to you. In the past, that wasn't so much the case.
You have three fairly new.
Yeah, so things change and I can change with it. No problems with it. But tell me what the rules are. I'll tell you how to play the game.
I think we need to see the specs, just to be comparing apples to apples.
Yeah,
The price is at the bottom line with those.
Yes. And I can't tell you, look at those specs, what half the stuff even does, let alone know anything intelligent about it. But I can look at what the requirement is and what the offer is and make a determination.
That would also give you an opportunity to seek out the information on those specs that you don't understand.
And visit with your operators who are.
Yeah.
yeah, we did. We tried to visit with, in this case, it's Brian Quinn. I'm not sure on the truck, but the trucks, we try to get them involved too. We're probably the only county in the state that the operator picks out the color of his truck. And you notice the colorful fleet. And again, it gives them more pride in it. Now to have them write the specs, that would not be,
No, that's not what we're.
No.
yeah.
Okay. Off the topic of equipment, any other comments?
I do have one.
All right.
Thank you for making the decision on the 8-piece band in the middle of the right turnout. I think that was, while it would have been fun, I just
Love
think
the
that
idea,
it's
but-
eternally bad, dangerous stuff. Yes, thank you.
Well, Brian and I kind of discussed it.
Sure, yeah.
I said, it's intriguing, but it's like authorizing somebody to have a backyard pool with no fence around it. Is it an attractive nuisance that can come back and bite you?
I mean, somebody was thinking outside the box. I mean,
I think it's,
That,
if there was another place to have it, it was up on Highway 3 by at Fireman's Park or something, then they could set up, but they're not using Highway 3, so.
Well, and you've got a park just on the north side of the Ketchaw Bridge too. But that's,
They're not gonna go down that far. The route's not that far south.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, it's not. You're right.
It's right in the
366 is coming in north of there.
This might not give us.
That'd be 3/4 of a mile off the. off the route.
Band that's-
Yeah, no,
Well,
that's,
like, another thing, I mean, obviously, I agree, you guys make the right decision, but our law enforcement is going to be stretched thin. And it's not just one day, it's gonna be 2 days.
Yeah.
And there is a reason why there is a roundabout at that corner.
Yeah.
yes, that's right.
I need to see
Yeah.
a tire go across the trombone.
Yeah.
Smart car hit the tuba player.
Yeah, that was funny.
What is that from? Anyway.
All right, any other comments? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thanks.